According to the National Archives, the Clotilda was licensed in 1855 and was a cargo schooner used to transport goods and supplies throughout U.S. ports, Mexico, and Cuba. During this era, slavery still existed in the U.S. However, the act prohibiting importation of slavery, which was a federal law, enacted in 1808. Nevertheless, the economic profit for slaves was so great that the swift ship was chartered by wealthy landowner Tim Mayer, who sought the help of the ship's builder, Captain William Foster, to sell to the African port of Oda to purchase Africans. Regarding profits, Tim bet $1,000 that he could smuggle Africans into Alabama. The purchase price for the Africans was $9,000, and the value of the African captives was worth 20 times that amount back in Alabama. And to put that into perspective, $9,000 in 1859 is around $330,000 today. A transcript of Captain Foster's account of this voyage indicates great effort to avoid capture. It says, the crew, thinking our capture is inevitable, refused duty and wanted to take any boats from the vessel and go on shore, but could not have landed with their boats owing to the surf. While getting underway, 2 more boats came alongside, with 35 more Africans, making in all 110, left 15 on the beach, having to leave in a haste. All under headway, both steamers changed their course to intercept us. The wind being favorable, in a short time we knew we were outselling them. Then my crew showed their appreciation for not letting them take my boats to go on shore. In 4 hours, we're out of sight of land and steamers. Other information included in the document provides a glimpse into the demand for slaves at this particular port. It says, we went to the warehouse where they had in confinement 4,000 captives in a state of nudity. After bringing the African new slaves into Alabama's Mobile Bay in 1860, the ship was burned to conceal the criminal voyage. The descendants of the captured Africans passed down stories of their ancestors and the slave vessel, while many outside their community regarded the stories as folklore. On January 24, 2018, reporter Ben Raines claimed to have discovered the wreck of the Clotilda in the lower Mobile Tensas Delta. The coordinates and survey data were shared with the Alabama Historical Commission, which hired Search Incorporated to verify the find. The discovery was kept secret for a year until the verification process was complete. On May 22, 2019, the Alabama Historical Commission announced that the wreckage of the Clotilda had been found. The story doesn't end there though. In 1861, Mr. Mayer and his partners were prosecuted for illegally trafficking the Africans into the country, but a federal court dismissed the case as the Civil War began. No investigation or remedy ever involved the actual African men and women central to the case. While the federal case was pending, the Africans Mr. Mayer had claimed and still remained on his property left to fend for themselves and were offered no means of returning to Ghana. This is an article from March 9, 1901, seeking Captain Foster. In 1865, after the Civil War ended and slavery was widely abolished, the Clotilda survivors once held by Mr. Mayer were free, but still trapped in a foreign land far from their home. They settled along the outskirts of Mr. Mayer's property at a site that came to be known as Africa Town, and developed a community modeled after the traditions and government they had been forced to leave behind. Unlike the vast majority of newly freed black people in the country, who had either been born in the US or seized from Africa many decades before, the people of Africa Town had a direct recent connection to their African roots, and vivid memories of their culture, language, and customs. Well into the 1950s, descendants of the Clotilda captives living in Africa Town maintained a distinct language and unique community of survival. Cudjoe Lewis lived to be the last surviving Clotilda passenger in Africa Town. In 1927, black anthropologist and writer Zora Neale Hurston traveled to Alabama to interview Mr. Lewis about his life and produced a manuscript documenting his story. The book was not published in her lifetime, but in 2018 the story was released as Barracoon, the story of the last black cargo. Today, many descendants of the Africans trafficked on the Clotilda continue to live in northern Mobile, Alabama, and in December 2012 the National Park Service added the Africatown Historic District to the National Register of Historic Places. Thanks for watching, and remember, if it's more interesting, you can find it here.